Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel. Wow. Cheers to the end of the season. And what a final day that was, guys. Thank you all for joining me. I'm honestly speechless after that. We have got a decent phone in for you guys. If you do want to get involved, I might sort of pick out one or two of you. As I said, the link is in the Discord. You can see in the chat right now. Just give me a little wave hand. We might be able to put you in the Discord. But I've got fans from Arsenal, Spurs, Man City, Liverpool, Burnley and Leeds to talk about the madness of the final day. Let's go straight to the final scores. And the final day is always chaos. But the way it ends up is that Leeds, I was wrong. Leeds fans, I was wrong. You have survived. Unbelievable stuff. Let's just run through those fixtures then. So Burnley lost 2-1 at home. Brentford lost to Leeds United away from home. Brighton Hove Albion won 3-1. That means that they will play in the Europa Conference League next year. Leicester City, Southampton, dead rubber really. Norwich City losing 5-0. Arsenal winning 5-1. Chelsea winning 2-1. Man City coming back 3-2. It happened again. I was getting flashbacks from the QPR game. I was at the Etihad when that happened. And some of the moments would, honestly, it took me straight back to that time. Like the first goal, for example, with that cross to the back post, that was just like a Adama Traore to JaackMaate back in the day. It was absolutely ridiculous. Crystal Palace getting the victory over Man City. I actually did. I called both of these. I said Brighton would beat West Ham, and I said Palace would beat Manchester United. Absolute dog rubbish. Oh, actually, I think we've got a Man United fan as well. Actually, by the way, there's so much chaos going on. I haven't been able to keep up, so we should have. Yeah, we have. We've got a Man United fan as well. And Liverpool doing the job 3-1. I mean, I'll talk for a second in terms of what has been an absolutely fantastic season, and it's got to getting to the final day. I think it's just been fantastic to see as well, right? But I think Man City, do you know what? To come back the way that they did was just phenomenal. I was waiting. I thought that's how it might play out. Poke the beast, and then when they need to get into second, third, fourth gear, I thought that they might have that little bit too much, especially at home. And it turns out that they did. Unbelievable stuff. I just look, there's been so much talk about Liverpool, and we will talk about Liverpool. But Man City, that squad, to turn it around the way they did was absolutely phenomenal. Let's talk to a Man City fan then. We have, it's Ellie, I think. Ellie hopefully going to make his way in and give me his thoughts after that ridiculous comeback. I thought Coutinho was about to do it. Is it Ellie or Eli? You there, mate?
James, I'm
Hello.
here.
Is it Eli?
Yes.
Hello, mate. How on earth are you feeling right now after that?
I'm filled with relief. I'm over the moon. I don't know. I'm speechless. I want to so many things. So many things through there. I 2-0. I switched. I opened up the Liverpool stream as well because I didn't think we'd do that.
That's a good point. I'd love to know how everyone watched the streams, because I had about 4 different screens trying to be open. I was trying to kind of watch the Brentford Leeds game. So with each of these games, I'm going to have to hear what you think about the game itself, because we're all trying to just keep up with everything. It was just a million goals a minute. I mean, you can see here, you had the momentum. You knew that was going to happen. But Villa came, and I think the problem was it was flat, wasn't it? Did you think it was flat for that first half, which was probably the only reason that the only way you weren't going to get it done was that it was going to get to 60 minutes and you're going to get sucker punched? I mean, you sort of did, but the changes that were made, were you concerned that it was going to be a bit like Real Madrid and you'd run out of ideas?
Well, I thought the selection he got it. I thought it was completely wrong. The back four. I mean, Walker's on the bench. I don't know if he's just there because I don't know if he's fully fit. Because to leave him on the bench and start Fernandinho, I was confused. Honestly, I wanted Fernandinho to be able to play out because this is his last game. Would have been nice. But the subs, yeah, you're right. The subs are perfect. At halftime, I was asking for Zinchenko and Sterling. We got Zinchenko at halftime, exactly what I would have done. Cancelo was I mean, I've heard you talk about him defensively. That I've always known that's not his thing. But even today, like his decisions, like going forward, where I was pulling my hair out.
Yeah.
So you wanted to hear about the stream? So I had Did you want to hear about like how I had the stream set
sorry,
up?
I meant more with the chat there. In the chat, tell me which games
Oh,
you were
sorry.
watching. I'm intrigued to know. So yeah, the Fernandinho thing, it did feel a little bit like sort of sentiment there, or maybe an element of know-how, I guess, in terms of like the amount of big games that he's played over the years. But I was a bit like, what's Nathan Ake got to do? I mean, it's not the time for that really, but I agree with you. I think that the lineup was a little bit odd, and also you give the opposition that little bit more hope with someone like Fernandinho, because you know he is a centre midfielder playing as a centre back, and you can get done on the break. And Ollie Watkins, I mean, he'll be a bit of a villain to Liverpool fans, because he had one where he's kind of gone through, Fernandinho's given a little bump, that could have been interesting, but he's had a huge chance. It would have been to make it 2-0. I guess it went to 2-0 anyway, so maybe you can let it go. But the turnaround was amazing. And to tell you what, to have someone like Gundogan, if you lose Gundogan, to have that kind of player with that kind of composure to come on when you need it is so important, and probably what's got you over the line today, don't you think?
Absolutely. No, yeah. 100%. Gundogan, Sterling's threat. De Bruyne, I thought De Bruyne, who's been incredible in like the last few months. Yeah. I thought today he was all over the place, and then that one moment it drops to him. What is it, like 81? He just drives a little bit. Looks like the last bit of energy to just roll it across. Gundogan, 2 back posts. I mean, yeah, Gundogan's incredible. That's always been his strength, isn't it? Just arriving.
Yeah,
he smells it.
That's it. He does. He does smell it. And De Bruyne, you know, he got Player of the Year today. Like, I personally think that's a little bit cheeky. Personally, I'd love to know in the chat. We've got 1,356 people watching right now. If you could do me a favour, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, and also hit the notification bell, hit the like button as well. But most importantly, tell me who your Player of the Season is. I want to see this in the chat. And the different people that we're going to talk to, we're going to ask them to ask a question. I don't know if you saw that, Eli. So I might be putting the pressure on you. So don't worry. Don't worry if you don't have one. It's fine, because I've already kind of given one out there. But yeah, let me know who your Player of the Season is, guys. I'm intrigued to know. And as I say, we're going to talk to a Burnley fan, Leeds fan, Arsenal fan, Spurs fan, lots of different people in this end of season stream, guys. And cheers to every one of you, however your team did. If it did well or if it did badly, it's over. That's what I would say as a QPR fan. Final question to you then, Eli. Did you deserve it?
Yeah.
Did you deserve it?
I was going to ask. That was going to be my question, is can you ever win a league title and not deserve it? Because honestly, if ever, I think we won this league almost in December, in the sense like we got the points by then that got us over. And then, I mean, the second half also, we hardly bought it. Liverpool went into a new level. I think like January to April maybe of them was like the best I've ever seen them. They were riding on like Alisson and Van Dijk so much. It was insane. So I don't know. I mean, I could only definitively say we were better than Liverpool for maybe like 3 months of the year, but depends how much you like the talk of big moments and stuff. Because if we got over the line, we got over the line. I'll take it.
Do you know what I would say, man?
I'm here.
Of course you deserved it. Of course you deserved it. 93 points is outrageous. And sometimes you don't get what you deserve in football. My dad always says this to me. You don't get what you deserve in football. You get what you get. And Liverpool deserved to win the title. Liverpool deserved to win it a couple of years ago as well. But they didn't, because sometimes you don't get what you deserve. You get what you get. And Man City on both occasions to get 93 points this time round is phenomenal. 99 goals. And when they did have that wobble, and every football team does have that wobble, to show what they showed, which was kind of what we wanted with Real Madrid, was them to sort of take a breath and play football, you know, because you can cut teams apart so easily. And in, what was it, a 5-minute spell of madness, you've gone and done that. It's just crazy. Absolutely crazy. So congratulations, mate. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for all the videos as well through the year. I love it.
My pleasure, mate.
Thank you for having me on.
All good, man. Right. Yeah. Next Champions League next year.
When I feel like this, I'll keep taking this. But yeah, I'll see you.
That's it. Fair enough. Unbelievable comeback. To be 2-0 down is pretty special as well. Thank you, Eli. Thank you. Right, next up. Okay, there has to be a runner-up, of course. It is a Liverpool team that has blown a lot of us away this season. Could still win the Champions League as well. And we have, where is it? Josh. Josh is coming in to talk Liverpool. Woo! Just in the chat there, I was saying who was the player of the season. A lot of people saying Son, scored a couple of goals. Delighted I brought him in to my FPL team this week. Gelhart, some people are saying. Czar, some people are saying. We've got a super chat as well. Maestro D, disappointed we lost our Champions League football to Spurs, but we've been set back on our project to where we should be after 2 years. Somewhere, somehow, we need to make it next season. That will be interesting. Maestro, I'm guessing. Right, obviously, you're an Arsenal fan. Right, Josh, you there, my friend? Josh, are you on mute?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, mate. How you doing?
Right. Not bad.
Been better?
I've been better, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, how did you, emotions? How are you feeling after that?
Deflated.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, it was, what was it, 6 minutes that they scored the 3 goals in? 6 or 7 or something. I just, and the fact that we were drawing as well, like, I'm just lost. You know, I don't know how to feel. I think probably in a couple of weeks I'll realise how to feel. It's not like complete sadness because we haven't really bottled it. Because we were 14 points behind, but it's just, oh right, okay, back. You know what I mean? Back to normal. Champions League final
cruel.
Soon.
It's cruel. It's weird, isn't it? This is what I mean. It's like it's got to be so odd being a Liverpool fan. Both of you guys, you've clearly got like outrageously good football teams. And yet, Man City can't kind of get the one that they want. Loz said it on this channel, actually. He said, I think both sets of fans will get the one that they don't want. And that, for you, weirdly, and I know this sounds gluttonous when we talk about it like this, but the Premier League, you wanted that, didn't you? And you wanted it in front of your own fans, and it just wouldn't happen for you. Do you think, is there a moment where you look at Liverpool's games this season, is there a time in the season where you think you lost it?
Recent memory, I remember feeling after the Spurs game, the 1-1, just feeling a bit like, is it over? That was the game for me that I thought, well, look, it's now 4 points. Obviously, the West Ham thing. Was it 4 points or 3 points? I'm not sure. When we ended up drawing.
That made it. Oh,
God, that was it.
Yeah, because they drew, didn't they? They drew to West Ham.
I think it then became 4 points. Yeah, the draw against Spurs, the one for me was just like, oh right, it's over. You know.
But you know what? I mean, look at you can see it on your screen now, guys. The amount of wins. It's like, and this is football. Like I'd like to see both Man City and Liverpool lose more. I think that would be better for everyone because it's like it's absurd. And I know Liverpool fans are fed up with the fact that you draw a game against a team that's made it into the Champions League this season, and that's what cost you the title. Like I'd be a bit fucked off. Are you a bit fucked off?
Yeah. And I'm not going to go into the whole like it's Saudi money and all that because it's like I don't really care. But it's one of them where it's like and this is going to feel like really gluttonous. It feels unfair. It just does. It just feels like it doesn't matter what we can do. It's never good enough. Obviously, Champions League's different, but in the Premier League, it literally doesn't matter what we do. We're 14 points behind in January.
Yeah,
and we've had this. We've gained 13 points, but it still is gaining 13 points on the league leaders in any other league is enough to win it. Getting 90 points, 92 points. How many is enough to win the league? 80%, 90% of the time. It's just that there's this unreal, like, super team with the best manager ever and the best players, and that is just always ahead.
Do you know what? As well, you lost 2 games all season. How can you lose 2 games all season and not win the league?
If this Man City team were around in the 90s, it'd be fine because we'd have won about 7 leagues in a row. But like, why are 2 of the best Premier League teams of all time are around at the same time? Like, it doesn't seem fair,
Liverpool fans in the chat, do you agree? Can you feel with Josh here? Can you empathise with what he's kind of going through? Because this is what I mean. Like I struggle. He's a QPR fan with the way our season went. I struggle to have sympathy for anyone. But if Man City had lost it, whoever loses 93 and 92. And I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about sort of expected points at the start of the season, and I think your expected points were something like 81 or something, 82, and you've gone and got 92 points. So it's been like you've exceeded expectation, and to a man, you've been pretty special. You got nothing, not nothing to show. You might still get a treble, but like to not get that Premier League title, would you have handed? Here's a question for the chat. All right, listen up, and one for you as well, Josh. Would you trade in?
Okay.
Would you trade in the FA Cup, League Cup, Champions League to have won the title today? Let me know in the chat. And Josh, how are you feeling about that?
If you'd said just the Champions League, I would have said yeah. But the fact that it is a treble. Look,
if it's not what you want, though, is it?
No, it's not at all. That's a really good question because I don't know how to answer it.
A lot of people say no.
I'd probably say as long as Man City don't win, what is it? So we swap. So they get the FA Cup, League Cup, and Champions League.
Yeah. Okay. I'll add that to it. Great question.
Fucking hell.
Or not even that. Take that. I'm stripping that back. Man City don't win the Champions League, but you have to you lose the League Cup final, you lose the FA Cup final, and you lose the Champions League final, but you win the Premier League. Would you swap?
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'd take that.
Yeah? Wow.
Just because then it's what? Is it? Yeah, I think I would.
That is amazing.
I don't know if the chat's about to have a go at me.
I'm gonna go. We're gonna chuck that in as a poll, guys. All right, get ready to vote if you're in the chat.
That's so tough.
Champs League. Oh, sorry, hang on. Title, but no treble. Do you have a question for the chat? Do you remember me saying that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do, and it's basically just. I mean, I don't know if we've already talked about it, but it's like, what have Liverpool got to do to win the league? Like, just what? Like, is it is it ever going to happen again? What have they got to do? Because I don't like. This is the strongest, the best, the most. You know what I mean? The most depth.
Yeah.
Least injuries we've ever had, and we've still not good enough. So like,
still can't get over the line. Just can't get over the line, can you?
Apart from Saudi owners, what have we got to do to win the league?
Do you know what it reminds me? It's like me when I would say to Flav, I just can't get 100k subs. I just can't do it. Just can't do it. that is Liverpool when it comes to the Premier League. You can vote on title but no treble, guys. You can vote on that now. But also answer Josh's question. What have Liverpool got to do to win the bloody Premier League? Injured City players, someone's saying that. Interesting. Josh, mate, thank you so much. Great call. And I guess you've always got next week. You've always got next week.
Always.
All right, bud. Right, let's keep on moving.
Cheers, mate.
We have others to speak to. Oh, my phone's locked up. Let's have a look. So next up, let's go into the Champions League places. Let's speak to Kurt. Hopefully Kurt's going to make his way in. In you come, Kurt. In you come, son. I'm intrigued to see what's everyone's voting. So Spurs, of course, won. Did not Spurs it up. And I tell you what, if we can get to 500 likes by the end of this call, I will call Flav, and we'll see what he's got to say for him. Kurt, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, mate. How you doing? You all right?
Oh, you sound lovely and loud. That's fine. Stay exactly as you are. No, absolutely fine. That's great stuff. Kurt, you didn't screw it up.
Absolutely buzzing.
Is that the main feeling? Is like, we didn't screw it up.
Yeah, I really thought, I was feeling sick all day. I mean, I think probably every Spurs fan was, apart from maybe my dad, who 100% is like, oh, we're going to win every game. But yeah, I was really nervous. But yeah, professional performance, to be fair. 5-0. Son trying to get the golden boot. I don't know. I think it's split now, which is fine. I guess he'll take that. I did feel a little bit for him after getting taken off in the Arsenal game when they had a red card, obviously. But I think he understood the bigger picture. But yeah, fantastic in the end.
Were you able to watch? Did you watch the Spurs game, or were you just watching it all unfold?
I did watch it.
So
after 2-0, I kind of was getting a bit involved.
Yeah, right. Was it super easy then?
Yeah, I mean, fair play to Norwich. They did come out and play. They didn't just sit back and do nothing. They come out and played. But they had a few shocking mistakes, to be fair. And Kulusevski and Son scored some absolute beautiful goals. So yeah, it really was a great performance overall. Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Because I guess this is a sort of you needed to get this bit done, didn't you? There's sort of I think when you see how bad Man United have been, but also what Liverpool have done in terms of not just this year, but like the gentle stages of getting better and better and better. Because like all football fans, you want to kind of go, okay, how far can this go, right?
And, so say if you're Brighton, it's like, okay, we need to get in the Prem, right? We need to consolidate in the Prem, and then we need to hope that we can get a squad together we need to keep getting the recruitment right, so we've got a chance to go and win an FA Cup or get in Europe or whatever it is, right? For Spurs, we spoke about it on the pod, and we joked about it with Spurs not winning those trophies. But in terms of the size of the club, like the stadium's outrageous. And now with someone like Antonio Conte in there, like the first step is the right manager, isn't it? And then the second step is Champions League football. But if you screw this up, you might lose the manager. So today, how big a day is today?
It's huge. In terms of security, I think it's just absolutely huge. Because if you think that, if we mess up today or we don't beat Arsenal in that North London derby, I think you're looking at, you're finishing Europa League. You're not sure if Conte is going to stay. And then if Conte goes, you're not sure if Kane's going to stay. And there's just question marks all over the club. Yeah. So, like, Champions League football now, obviously you want to be getting hopefully some good talent in the summer. And I just think, in terms of security, I can't imagine a world where Conte leaves now when he's got Champions League football next year. Yeah. Obviously, same for Kane. So I think, absolutely huge. And the way they've done it, 5-0, to be fair, against Norwich, I'm very impressed.
Yeah, totally. It's one of those where it's like, because it's Spursy, you think, Norwich, no. But really, apart from it being at home, it couldn't have been, a better fixture for you to have.
Should have been a win.
Yeah, but,
should have been a win.
Again, we're looking at it right now. The run-in has been superb, hasn't it?
Yeah. You can't really paint a better picture than that in terms of beating Arsenal, at home, 3-0. Obviously there was, some questionable moments in that game, but who really cares now? Yeah, to beat Arsenal to get fourth, absolutely massive. You look at, especially like from your video on Friday with the points spent per player, price per player.
Great video.
You see that Tottenham have really spent low, but like Conte, in my opinion, has really overachieved. And what a guy to have the helm of the club now.
Yeah, absolutely huge. Because it does show. It does. I've heard people say the coach isn't that important. I just don't believe that, because I think there's so many intangibles that if you can keep someone honest almost in terms of and then get them to believe that you can take them somewhere, it's so important. In terms of the squad, so my question to you, I don't know if you've got a question for the chat. Do you have a question for the chat?
I thought of a couple, but yeah,
good.
I have one, but yeah, okay. I'll ask.
All right, we'll ask that in a bit. So my question for you and my question for the chat. Of this squad, what I find amazing sometimes is almost like players look good or bad depending on form and manager, right? So Ben Davies, you would have gone, okay, there's a limit to him. There's, Hugo Lloris, okay, he's coming to the end, that's enough. He's not good enough. Like Eric Dyer, he's obviously had a huge change around. Ryan Sessegnon's done brilliantly since Conte's come in. And when I look at the Spurs squad, I think sometimes, I always think about Carragher, and I think it was Carragher said, you're always 3 players away from kind of where you want to sort of end up going. How many players do you think you are away from being a team that could actually have a little run at the title?
Yeah, it's hard to say for the title at the moment, isn't it? When you've got Liverpool and City, that are just such top sides with top coaches. But I'd like to think 3 or 4 players. I think a couple of proper top wing backs that will play in Conte's system, adding to goals as well as defending, obviously like Moses at Chelsea. That's those sort of players that are gonna really galvanise the team. And maybe like a playmaking central midfielder. I'm quite keen on maybe getting Eriksen back if it's possible. Obviously it'd be a lovely story. Yeah. But I just think we really struggle against teams that play like a low block. That seems to be like the way to counter Conte's style. So if you maybe go into a 3-5-2 for those sort of games, bring Eriksen in, someone that's going to, find that pass to Kane. I think, like 3 or 4 players, a backup striker to Kane. Obviously, we'd have to have barely any injuries in the season, and maybe one centre back as well. Because obviously Ben Davies is, even though he's been phenomenal this season under Conte, fair play to him. I think obviously you've got to improve if you really want to be playing with the top guys. So yeah, I'd say 4, maybe 5. But yeah, I think we can get rid of a few players as well. We've had players like Reguilon. When they came in, you thought, wow, this is a top signing. Yep. But Sessegnon, he's not even getting a game at the moment. Do you know what I mean? Sessegnon, who also has been hot and cold, has really seemed to have secured his space at the moment at left back. So yeah, I'm not sure what's going to happen with Reguilon, with Emerson Royal, Doherty. So there's definitely a lot that can be, mixed up and improved for next season. So I think that's something that's a big positive.
And sort of watered, if you know what I mean. If you imagine Liverpool when they got to the Europa League final and kind of and got into top four, I think it was on a final day, wasn't it? They got into top four and got into the Champions League. There's a lot of players there that at the time you would have said they're okay, but you needed to see how far their ceiling could go. And I still think there's a squad. There's a lot of squad players for a team that could do really, really well. And like you say, I think 4 or 5, and then you could really start to wonder if you can get it right. Because people like Kulusevski and the goals he scored, Heung-min Son, Harry Kane, all 3 in my FPL team, which I'm delighted about this week. Sessegnon's got a bit of a decent ceiling. Bentancur's come and done really, really well. You just needed to get over the line, and you did. So well done. What's your
to come back as well?
Of course, yeah. What is your question for the chat?
I have 2. Maybe that's a bit cheeky, but I'm not sure which one is a good one. But my first one was, do you think that Conte has overachieved in this season? Or, considering United and stuff, has he done probably what he should have done? Mm-hmm. And the second question would be, what's next for Spurs? Like, what can we do next season? I mean, what is acceptable? Like, winning a cup? Should we be challenging for the title? What next, I guess, for Spurs?
Okay. So, yes, Conte overachieved. Or no, he didn't overachieve. This was expected. Let us know. And I've forgotten what your second question is. Sorry.
Just what's next? What's next for Spurs? Or what can Conte do next that's successful? I guess ituld be a trophy. Probably a bit of an obvious question, actually.
I think most importantly, stick around, for God's sake. Like, I wouldn't put it... That's the thing. You would feel like... It feels like quite a... unhealthy relationship. Like, with the stuff that he sort of says. You're just sort of like... But you're like, please don't leave. Please don't leave me. Like, and he's saying stuff going, well, I might. I've had a really good time here. What do you mean you've had a good time here? Like, aren't you going to stay? Like, it's a bit abusive. I think the relationship.
Yeah, I think he's putting some pressure on Levy. I think that's what he's really trying to do. He wants him to get the money out. Yeah, which is fair enough, I guess.
Okay. We have enough likes, so I'm going to call Flav very, very quickly. Mate, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it.
Congrats on the little man, and yeah, all the best, mate.
Cheers, Kurt. Thank you, mate. Right, let's see what we'll call him. Flav, of course, is at Centre Parks, so we'll see if he'll pick up. He said he might not, but we did hit the like target, which is very kind. Thank you very much. It's Flav time. Will he pick up though? It's not looking good, guys. Can you guys even hear that? Oh, you can. Oh dear.
Welcome to the...
I'm
sorry, but the person you've called is not available.
Sure. Last chance saloon. We'll try this. I'll send him a voice note and see if he'll send one back. Send me a voice note. I'm on a live stream right now. Tell me how you feel because you didn't pick up. Hope Centre Parks is good. Hope you got a mountain bike. Okay. Right, let's see what he's got to say. Let's move on to Arsenal fan. Who is our Arsenal fan? Where are you? Reveal yourself. Single lady or man. Not sure which one it is. Where are you? HN or Beat? It's one of you. Who is it?
Hello. It's
Beat.
Me.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
Not bad. How are you?
Were you ready for the disappointment you're feeling right now, or is it hit different? Talk to me as an Arsenal fan.
It obviously does hurt a lot. Obviously, losing it out to Spurs as well. It's probably the worst way for it to happen, which is awful. I think if someone had told me at the start of the season you'd be fighting for top 4 until the last day and you would have got Europa with the position that we were in, I might have taken it. I probably would have taken it, to be honest with you. But I think with what the squad's gone through and how thin it's been this year, we've done well with players that we've kind of forced to play positions like Cedric, who obviously none of us wanted to play football for us, and seeing Eddie come in and his form like really go up it's been nice to see that he can perform, especially for him. It's been nice for him to be able to see that return from him, and hopefully he gets a new deal either here or goes and gets a good deal from another Premier League club. I hope he goes and does well wherever he ends up. But yeah, it definitely hurts with it being a loss in the way it is to Spurs, but at least I was hoping we'd be relegating Everton on the last day. I won't lie to you, but unfortunately they've survived as well. So oh well.
Not to be. Yeah, I mean the Everton lot. It seems like they were still steaming from Thursday night. I think going into the game.
Definitely.
So you know what I'm going to ask you, don't you?
Yeah, probably.
Did you? And question for the chat. Quick yes or no. Did you bottle it?
Yes, we bottled it. I'm not going to sit
No,
there
he's gonna
and
take
say...
it on the chin. On the chin.
No, honestly, I'm
Man.
not going to sit there and say we didn't bottle it. 100% we bottled it. We were above Spurs for quite a while. The run of games we had, obviously apart from the games where, against West Ham and Chelsea and United, no one expected us to win those games with, the depth that we had. But losing the 3 games that we did against Southampton, Palace, and I think it was Brighton. It was just painful, and then I knew the Newcastle Guimaraes goal was coming, so I was like, that one hurt even more as well. But yeah, I think it is a bottle. It's a painful bottle, but I still think the season isn't the worst way the season could have gone.
Yeah, that's what I'm intrigued by. Yeah, exactly. From that point of view, it is an improvement. Are you optimistic for the future, or are you like, damn, that feels like that was the chance? Are you apprehensive about next season now?
This year was really the chance for us to get top 4, and then we could have built on it and continued to then push ourselves up, I believe. I think with United being so bad this year, with Tottenham having like poor spells, and even Chelsea in the second half of the season have been really poor as well. So I think that would have been that was a massive help to us this season, and being able to actually push for top 4. I think if we'd got it, we then would have been able to cement it for the next coming years with the players that we could have brought in. I still think we can bring some big names in as well. I don't think that the whole Champions League football is a massive thing for players. Of course it is, but I still think we can bring in big names. I think, like people were saying about us not being able to sign Jesus now, and I think we'll still be able to sign Jesus if we put enough money on the table, especially like I think we're offering like 40 million for him, which I think is a lot of money for a player in the last year of their contract. So yeah, I do definitely think that it was our chance this year, but I'm not an Arteta outer, unfortunately, for people that want me to be, and like sit here and shout gospel about how I want Arteta out my club. I respect what he's done for the club this year, getting rid of players that definitely shouldn't have been on the wage bill. And I mean, look, the club was a mess. I think you've spoken about it many times.
Yeah.
The club was a mess 2 years ago when he picked it up, and people say, oh yeah, but look how Emery did with the club and everything like that. And it's like, yeah, but like you went to that stadium and it was an absolute mess in that stadium. No one wanted to be there. The attitude from all the fans was just not where it needed to be. So yeah, I think I'm optimistic of Arteta, and I do actually really like to see what he can do next year with Europe. And people have said, oh well, Arsenal's chance was this year because they've only played 1 game a week and all that. So I'm intrigued. Hopefully he can prove a few people wrong as well.
So question for you, question for the chat. We asked it for Spurs. I think this is the kick in the teeth for Arsenal, is the fact that, again, like I was saying about Spurs, it's kind of like there's different levels that you kind of need to achieve as you make your way to the top. And for Arsenal, that sort of get over the line and get yourself back in the Champions League, and the money that would bring would have been really, really helpful. But looking at the squad, and you can hopefully see it in front of you now. Again, I asked Kurt about how many you need to get to have a little tickle at the title. How many do you think you need? Let's fast forward 3 years.
Yeah,
because I think it's a young squad, isn't it? That's what. So obviously you need additions, and you need that team to sort of evolve. But how many do you think could become really, really strong players for you?
I think there's a lot of like strong players with potential in that team. And you look at Saka, he's probably one of the best right wingers in the league this season. I'm not saying he's the best before anyone comes to me, but I do think he's been one of the best this season. Smith Rowe has so much potential, Martinelli as well. Odegaard, I think, has been incredible this year for us.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would say I think we need at least, we definitely need 2 big striker signings. I think that's the most important thing for us, is those striker signings, and a massive number 8 in midfield to really help us kind of move the ball on the best way and make the best attacking decisions while also providing a very good defensive outlook.
Yeah, I totally agree. Needs to have a forward as well.
Yeah.
Do you have a question for the people?
Yeah, so my question would be, is Arteta the man for Arsenal, and do you think he can win the Europa League with a few additions to the squad next year?
Okay. Yes or no? Yes, he is the man. No, he's not the man. Get your answers in. Thank you for that, mate. Appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks very much.
All the best, mate. Enjoy summer.
Yeah,
all right, mate. Okay. Where are we now? I think we are heading down to the bottom of the... Oh, no, we're not. We're not. Maddenist Pope. Are you there, Maddenist Pope?
Hello?
Is that Maddenist Pope?
Yes, that's me. Hello, good to see you.
That's not your real name, is it? What's your real name?
That's not my real name. I'm not sure I kind of want to say my name right now. We can talk about this later.
Okay, Pope. I'll call you Pope then. First of all, people are voting in the chat right now, and they are generally saying it's actually about 50-50 to the yes or no on Arteta. Let us know in the comments down below if you're watching this after the fact. Interesting. Spurs fan Spencer says, keep Arteta. Let's have a look at you guys then. I mean, I actually called this on ESPN this week. I said that you and West Ham would both lose because Palace and Brighton are two bloody good teams. But it's been an absolute shit show for Man United. And you've lost 12 games. 12! I mean, Arsenal have lost 13, to be fair. Are you just relieved it's over?
A little bit, definitely. A little bit relieved it's over. I remember saying in the Discord, like, thank God the season's been over, it's been awful.
Mm.
But at the same time, I feel like I did get what I wanted out of this season after our expectations dropped immediately.
Go on.
I felt like being in the Europa is bit like purgatory for us now, because we don't want to be here. We have to be here. We kind of have to take it seriously because it offers us a route back to the top. And that just kind of just feels bad. I remember saying,
"What? I'm confused. So you wanted what's happened this season?"
No, I didn't. But once the expectations changed, I would have rather gotten the conference than the Europa, because the conference feels new and it feels interesting to me.
Question for the chat: would you rather be in the Europa League or the Europa Conference League because it's new? Let me know. Oh my word! I'm fast. This feels sadistic. This feels a little bit sadistic, mate. What you wanted? Did you start to get a taste for the punishment?
No, not really. Like, it's still awful.
I want to give you the opportunity to explain yourself. I don't understand what you mean. You wanted to be in the Europa Conference League because it's new.
Because we've been in Europa before and we've won it. We've done it.
Right.
And the Europa is still a standard of competition that is interesting, but it's still far less diverse than what the conference can offer. Like, it would be genuinely interesting to find so many different places on the map because they have the exposure that Man United will give them. Like, before the season, no one had heard of Tiraspol, had they? No one had heard of Tiraspol, who were in Real Madrid's group in Champions League.
Right.
And then I just think it's less painful.
You want to drop down. You're like, do you know what this is? This is the equivalent. This is actually the equivalent of when a football fan in the Championship goes, "I think it's best we go down to come back up because I think we just flush it out." That's what you're kind of saying, I think. And what are you going to be? Are you going to be going to some of these away games?
I can't.
I don't think you will. Yeah.
I'm a student, Jeff. I can't. I literally can't, even if I wanted to. Like, I come from Asia. So
I wouldn't expect. Yeah, mate. I wouldn't expect you to get to all these games. Don't worry. I'm not judging at all. Do you have a question for the chat?
Okay. My question is, and I actually have a few things I want to talk about. Is this the worst Man United could ever be? Is this the lowest point we can ever be?
I think this is the worst you have been. So that's my view on it. So yes or no question, guys, in the chat. Is this the worst it's ever been for Man United? Well, certainly in the Premier League era, it's definitely the worst, personally. But could it be worse? Yeah. Like, if you'd not... We will never know what it would have been like if you'd not had Ronaldo in the squad. Because I think there's two sides to it. And if we could be really, really honest for a second, I think they're not mutually exclusive. The fact that, yes, he scores all these goals, and thank God he did, because he was in my team of the season. But he also, he's the sun. Like, the world revolves around him. And so when you come into a squad, the likes of Cavani doesn't get the same game time, isn't valued as much. The likes of Rashford, all those guys. And I'm not blaming Ronaldo, but it is a byproduct of having Ronaldo in your squad. So we will never know how Man United would have got on. But once you get halfway through the season, you're almost like, thank God Ronaldo was there to save them. But say they played as bad as they played this year, and Ronaldo wasn't there, then God only knows what would have happened. Like it's clearly the worst, because I think it's a culmination of what was going on in terms of the squad and how much of a mess the squad is. Incredibly poor management. And then when you start losing games, it gets more and more sour. So I don't know how you could say, I'd love to know a season where it's been worse for Man United fans in terms of the Premier League. Like, yeah, I can't see anywhere around that. Sorry, I probably answered it for you. Do you agree?
I think this would definitely been much worse. We definitely scraped our way through a lot of games. Like, I remember the first West Ham game in the London Stadium, we scraped through that. Thank God De Gea saved the penalty.
Yeah.
We definitely scraped through the Spurs game.
Scraped through the Champions League?
No, the Spurs game, the Tottenham game.
No, but you scraped through the Champions League group as well.
Oh yeah, that too. But
yeah,
that feels kind of like an afterthought when it comes to the rest of the league.
Yeah.
And this could have been so much worse. We could have been 8th, 9th, or 10th. Like, no one knew De Gea would pick up this year. Would pick up his form a little bit this year. And if it wasn't for that, we would have been pretty bad off by mid-season. And then no one could have predicted that Ronaldo would still come in. That Ronaldo could still really come in with clutch on a few occasions. That you think that he's 37, it's starting to wane
unbelievable.
down.
I definitely think he should stay another year. I think it could be something pretty interesting next year. I think it was Jemmy in the chat here said that apparently he got you 14 points. There you go. It's been dreadful. Ronaldo single-handedly gave us 14 points. Popey, the Popatron. Does the Pope talk on a stream? Of course he does. Thank you very much, mate. Thanks for chatting to me, mate. And I'm sure I'll speak to you again soon. Enjoy your summer. Right. Let's go Leeds. And then any questions, if you've got any, we'll answer those as well before we go. Leeds, we've got Leeds lately and FJC. If you could both come in, because there should be 3 spots in the Discord. And if you want to join, by the way, guys, if you enjoy talking about football, then join the Allcott Ultras Discord. The link is in the description. Only come if you're a bloody good egg, because if you're a bad egg, you will be banned. Simple as that. But if you like football and talking to people about football, it's a great place to be. The people I love the most in terms of my community live in that Discord server and generally help me with absolutely everything. So they are heroes. So if you want to be a hero too, get yourself involved and make some pals. Right, who's in there? Okay, I heard numbers. We got them both. Okay. Fergus, I'm going to come to you first, and then we'll go to Leeds Lately. Max from Leeds Lately, which is a YouTube channel. So you can go check out there. If you're a Leeds fan, today's the day. And Leeds fans, get involved in the chat as well. Fergus.
Evening, Jim.
Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Now, you are one of my...
Relieved is probably a better word, but...
Yeah, you are one of the most important in the Discord server, so thank you for your help this year.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, I'm saying it, okay? So don't worry about that. How are you feeling, man? Like I said, and I expect I'm okay with any kind of heat that comes my way, because I have... First of all, I back Leeds, sort of, or I got someone to back Leeds, and that started to backfire. You know how much I've jinxed stuff this season. And
well,
then,
you're right.
But then I jinxed it at the end for you as well. So I feel like we're even now. How did you feel going into that game? Because I didn't give you a prayer, personally.
I thought we had the chance. I think the fact that Newcastle were playing Burnley probably gave us a chance. And this team, they have actually got the mentality to get stuff out of games, which they have shown time and time again this season. Even if we have been pretty poor, but the amount of times we've scored late goals and stuff like that.
If I'm honest, and we're going to chat to Connor, who's a Burnley fan, so Connor might completely disagree, and that'll be interesting to see. I kind of felt like Leeds didn't really deserve to be in the position that they were in, because the injuries were so devastating. And actually, Max, maybe I'll ask you this one now. Max, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, mate. Yeah.
Hello, pal. Welcome.
Hi, mate. Thank you.
Do you know what I did do? I wrote off Leeds because I just couldn't see any goals. And obviously, I didn't see as much of the game as you guys will have done. But what I did see was this sort of first 10 minutes, and actually Brentford I thought looked a little bit better. But when I saw the opening lineups, I thought what kind of got you over the line, what I thought might get you over the line, was you kind of had at least a bit of your spine back, and in particular that midfield was to have Phillips back, to have Harrison back, to have Rafinha as three of those, just kind of gave you that opportunity. Like, who's been the most important player for you, Max, this season? And why do you think you've been able to stay up? Because I think we know why you've struggled. It's been down to these injuries.
Yeah, well, it's definitely injuries, and I've said time and time again, it's like taking the spine out of that Chelsea team in 2004-05. I know not on the same scale, obviously, but take Drogba, Lampard, and Terry out of that team, and how well do they do? Cooper, since he's come back, has been unbelievable just because of his aerial presence. Like, Christian Eriksen today was the big threat, and the fact that we had Calvin Phillips in there to try and break his play up, and then we had Liam Cooper there to try and head the balls away, I think that was a massive factor in negating his damage. But this season, Rafinha scored 11 goals just because we haven't had Bamford. Rafinha scored 11 goals, and Joe Gelhardt, Rodrigo, a few of them have popped up with, I think we're the second highest number of 90-plus minute goals. I think City have just pipped us to that one. But those players scoring late on is what's saved us, I think.
Yeah, totally. In terms of the league, question for both of you. I'll come to you first, Fergus, then Max, you pick up off the back. How good or bad is this squad? So when you look at this squad in terms of comparison to the others, because like I say, this is what I mean. Look, the videos when I've spoken about Leeds, and obviously the Bielsa decision was made, Jesse Marsch came in, like, so be it, right? But for me, the big thing was the injuries, because if you lose those players, you lose your spine and you're done for. So I wonder what the truth is with Leeds. Where would you put Leeds in terms of how good the squad is if everyone's fit? Fergus first.
I'd probably say about mid-table, probably like 12th or 13th, something like that. But it's like when it is the best players that you're losing, there's not enough depth in those positions to cover it.
How do you feel about the? Sorry, Max. What's your answer to that one?
Well, I think it's hard to say, because under Bielsa, I agree with Fergus, and I think that's roughly the position. But I think a lot of these players have been so good because of Bielsa. Players like Matthias Klick, Stuart Dallas, players like that, they fit with what Bielsa's done. And I think when you take Bielsa away from that situation, players don't have a system to hide behind, and you sort of find out how good they really are. And I think a few of our players don't actually live up to the expectations that we've had from them under Bielsa. So I think we definitely need to strengthen in the summer, and Rafinha's obviously going to go, so there's the money for that. Yeah.
Because I think that, and maybe this is me not knowing enough, right? But when I look at the squad, that how young it was as well, and a lot of people that aren't sort of names yet, it's painful. Like the depth is just, it's a bit painful, to be honest. So you've kind of got away with it. Like, what's the final question for me? And then I'd love to have a question from you for the chat, for both of you. How do you feel about the board now? Because you've kind of got away with it, and often, survival or winning a game will kind of mask over all of it. Now that it is okay, are you able to calm down a little bit with the board? Fergus, I'll come to you first again, then Max again.
I'd say we've got to do something massively in the summer this season. Well, next season to start off with. But overall, I don't think you can knock them too much, because they have brought us back from, well, after having so many awful owners, and they've brought us back to the Premier League and have kept us there. But they have gambled massively this season in terms of not backing Bielsa when we needed to, and it does feel like they were sort of waiting to get Marsch in before we actually wanted to back anyone.
Right, Max, do you think? Sorry, just to play devil's advocate then, because often I did a video last night talking about people spending too much money. Do you think actually they made the sensible choice to just roll the dice a little bit, or is it too risky to have not provided any players at all?
Well, I think with what Fergus said about our past owners have been horrendous for the last 20 odd years. These owners have got a lot of credit in the bank because of what they've done, the fact that they got Bielsa in, they got us to this point. This season is the first time in which it's looked like they don't know what they're doing. Last season, it looked like, we're investing in the youth, bringing in players like Joe Gelhardt, we're bringing in players like Lewis Bate from Chelsea. We're investing in the youth. We look exactly like we know what we're doing. This season, they've started doing things like sacking Bielsa. The first thing they did was they said, we don't need any more players. Bielsa is good enough to, essentially, they didn't say this, but paper over the cracks.
Find a way,
They then sacked him a month later. So you're thinking, did you plan to do that? Because if you weren't going to bring any players in, then why would you sack him? So the biggest thing for me, to cut a long story short, is you have to hold them accountable, because they have to learn from this. The one thing I want them to do is learn from this situation that we've been in this season, and never again think, oh, we're in a bit of a sticky situation, but we won't sign anyone.
Yeah,
I think we just need them to learn from it.
Yeah, that's incredibly mature. Do you have a question for the chat? And by the way, I've got a voice note from Flav that I will be playing at the end of the stream, so stick around. Do either of you have a question for the Leeds chat? Fergus?
Would Bielsa have kept us up?
It's a good one.
I think that's an easy one to go for. But
okay, yes or no? Would Bielsa have kept Leeds up? Max, what's your question?
My question is, to everybody in the chat, who from the relegated teams would you like at your team? So put your team, and then the player that you'd want to sign from the relegated teams. Okay,
I'm going to put the Bielsa keeps them up as a poll. And so, otherwise, give us some names of some of those relegated players that you want. I mean, Tarkowski's going to be one that a few people are going. There's a few Burnley players that could help people. Right, guys, beautiful stuff. Lovely to chat to you both. Congratulations. You've bloody done it, lads. You've bloody done it. With a team staying up, there has to be a team that goes down. And we have Connor, poor Connor Norwood, who is a Burnley fan and will be drying his tears right now, sadly. They've gone down 35 points. It was in their hands. Connor, are you there, mate?
I am, yeah.
Just to say, before we chat to Connor, guys, I think I'm going to do a live stream ranking every team's season tomorrow. So if you don't want to miss that, make sure you're subscribed. It will be tomorrow at some point. Connor. Sure, I'm just going to give you the mic. How do you feel about the game and the season, and what are your emotions?
I went on the game. The atmosphere was absolutely horrendous.
Really?
Yeah. There was a lot of people thought that Brentford had scored again, and they hadn't, obviously. So there was a lot of everyone thought we were up, but it was frustrating, to be honest. There's just so much this season that I could rant for ages, so I'll try not to. But
now's the time, mate. Now's the time. Let it out.
I know. So I want to start off by saying that we've normalised the incompetency of Premier League referees. Every team this season has said a referee has been crap, and they still get the job. There's no punishment for these referees, right? And to be honest with you, the referee today, I can't say that he did that much wrong, but you look at the Aston Villa game, the ball hits his arm, it's not given for us.
Yep.
The week before against Spurs, the same incident, it's a penalty against us. There's no consistency in the league. It's frustrating because you can't just blame it on the rest. Like, we've not been good enough this season, and I have a YouTube channel, and this season's been so painful to talk about Burnley because it's just every week it's been a crap performance, and it comes from the original board. Now, there'll be a lot of talk in the next couple of days that Burnley are in a lot of financial hardship because of these new owners. But at least with these new owners, they're willing to spend a bit of money. However, they get this money regardless. But you get a lot of these people saying, "Oh well, it was so nice and well run under the previous owners." When really they were just taking the money and putting it in their pockets and saying, "Well, we're not in debt, so it could be worse." But this squad has been so underfunded for years, and it's been coming and coming and coming, and it's finally happened. And Pace is going to get the shit end of the stick. But really, it's not his fault. He has spent money trying to bring in players. You've got so many players out of contract this season, and you look at Mark Garlick, who's on the board. He sold the club, stayed on the board. It's so frustrating, and he's getting away with it because he had this whole persona that he was a Burnley fan. And he's not. He's a mercenary that's took advantage of us getting promoted and then sold us when we literally looked depleted. We've had two goalkeepers on our bench in a Premier League match for most of this season, and people are actually blaming people. I mean, to be fair, Dyche was crap this season.
We chatted earlier in the season, didn't we? You were saying Dyche needed to go, right? Just before he went.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
my question
yeah.
to you with that is, do you think that would have, because Mike Jackson's done all right, hasn't he? Or
yeah,
do you
I
think
wouldn't
he's
want
done
him
well?
as a permanent manager.
No.
He's done what he can. He's done what he can with the squad around him. I mean, you've got 9 players out of contract this summer, and you've got all these. Cornet's got a release clause. Pope will probably move, and rightly so.
Has Veghorst got one? Has Veghorst got one as well?
No, I think he's got the option to leave next January. So depending on how our season's going, but I mean, he's not exactly hit the ground running, and I do feel sorry for him. But it's just frustrating. People like Pope, though. Pope definitely deserves to be in the Premier League. He's definitely top 5 keepers in the league, in my opinion.
Well, yeah. With the last question that Max gave, you were saying what players from the Premier League, from the relegated teams, would you want for your team? And a few people saying Nathan Collins for Spurs, Emmanuel Dennis for Brighton, Sarr for Arsenal, Pope for Spurs as well, Dennis for Man United, João Pedro for Arsenal. So there is a few decent players out there. For you and your squad, let me click on it here, because I think it's funny, isn't it? Like, obviously, if you stay up, then you're allowed to sort of create a different narrative. But I think that this is what the thing when I was saying about Leeds and how good is their squad. I think you've got one of the 3 worst squads, haven't you?
I think so, yeah. It's fair to say, and it's frustrating to say, but again, it's come from a lack of funding from the previous owners. It was always going to catch up to us. No club can spend and have 2 goalkeepers on the bench for most of your season and expect to step up. It's just not possible.
So yeah, exactly. I kind of feel like this is what I mean. I'm sort of wary of doing it, but at the same time, if this had even happened last year and you'd gone down, I would have gone, well, this is a bit of a culmination of a squad that's got stale. And so for it to happen the year after, even though it was in your hands, and really, I backed you guys to do as well as Leeds today because I thought Leeds were kind of didn't have the players available. And you're at home, you should be getting over the line there. So it's disappointing that the fans didn't seem to be as loud as you would have liked them to have been. I guess the final question for me to you, and then it'd be interesting if you've got a question for the chat, is do you feel comfortable in the fact that you'll be able to bounce back up, or do you see this being a sort of Stoke City thing where you're a team that's come down and then will struggle because it's obviously you're going to have a lot of tough games next season?
I don't think we'll struggle. I think it'll be an exciting season because there's that many Lancashire derbies, so that'll be exciting, I suppose. But I think it's a rebuild job because you've got so many players out of contract and leaving that you're going to be losing the main span of that original Burnley team that came up. So I think it'll be more than a season, but I don't think we'll be in the Championship long term, hopefully anyway. But yeah, okay. I don't think it'll be straight back up anyway.
Right. Do you have a question for the chat? I'm gonna play Flav's voice note to finish this off. And actually, if you've got any questions here, how long we got? I'll do a quick fire 2 minutes on questions from you guys. Any thoughts on the season or anything you'd like me to answer? Because you guys have been amazing and stayed in the chat for a very long time. So thank you very much. Connor, what's your question for the chat?
Do people genuinely think that it was shot? Do you genuinely think Sean Dyche would have kept us up? I'm interested to know if people genuinely think that, because I don't think a lot of Burnley fans would say he would have kept us up at this point.
Okay. Yeah, we did a poll on Bielsa, and I think it was the majority of people said no when it came to that. I'll do a poll on Dyche. Would Dyche have kept them up? Get ready to vote. Them up. Yes, no. Ask your community. Do you know what? I don't think he would have, That's just that's just my view on it. I actually think, God, I've spelled it all wrong. I actually think it had gone a little bit stale, and the fact that you got that little bit of a bounce, which actually I thought you might fall like a stone, to be honest. The fact that you did get that little bit of a bounce, I think actually sort of did say a lot. I think at the end of the day, it comes down to quality a lot of the time, and you try to strengthen Weghorst, and if you'd been able to Wood, maybe that might have made a little bit of a difference, just to have a bit more firepower. But overall, I think that's a Championship squad, isn't it? That's excelled due to Sean Dyche having an incredible team spirit. And I think that just started to kind of, like anything, you need to refresh. And I just don't think he ever did that over the last 2 seasons, to be honest. And the sort of energy, I use Stoke City as an example because Stoke kind of came in, were excited. They were sort of the underdogs. They didn't mind being a little bit nasty, but then it started to just feel that little bit stale after a while. And that's why I think it probably had come to an end. Although if you find what I said at the time, I was sort of surprised that he went because I was just like, what's the point in doing it now? But I'm not sure he would have kept them up. But they got close. I mean, they were a million miles off a little while ago. So for them to be 3 points off is, it's not horrific, but they could have been down with the Watfords and the Norwiches of this world. So you agree with me with that one, don't you, Connor? Is that right?
Yeah, and I do a YouTube channel called Talk BFC, and we did a live stream that day, and I was absolutely amazed that Dash had been sacked, but I also, after a few hours of being shocked and upset, I realised that it was the right thing. And from what I've heard from the training ground and stuff, it sounds as though that the players were ready for Dash to go. So I'm not surprised that he went in the end.
Yeah. Onwards, you can only move forward. That's what I would say.
That's it.
So everyone check out his YouTube channel. Good man. Hopefully he'll be back up soon enough. Or actually, hopefully you don't, because QPR will hopefully go up. I'll see you next year. Come up together, hand in hand. Sounds good.
Exactly.
I was just going to end that poll. 60% said no, they wouldn't have stayed up. Let's finish off with some questions. If you've got any questions, thank you so much for everyone who's watched. If you fancy hitting the like button, then do so. If you don't, please don't. I think that's important to say. Veen, Newcastle finished top 7 next season. Thoughts, James? I think you've got to be careful with Norwich, because the way that people see, and I'm going to do Flav's voice note in a sec. The way you are seen is very important when you're a football team, and when people will start to look at Newcastle very, very differently and play differently, and that will make life harder for Newcastle. So I would be careful, because if they do things correctly, they will probably have a squad that's sort of West Ham, Leicester, Brighton, Wolves level, let's say. But it will be a squad that has to deal with higher expectations and with better players. And those jumps, if you go and watch that video that I did about the amount of money per point, there are these sort of different levels. That's if you get your recruitment right. And Newcastle have so far, but there's still a long way to go. And then you add the fact of you're going to have to go and break teams down now because the oppositions are going to sit back. I think it might be a bit trickier than you imagine. But it'll be interesting to see how many players you bring in and what quality you bring in as well. Will Norwich back bounce? Back bounce is a new one. Quite possibly. Dean Smith's a good manager. It'll be up for grabs in the Championship next year. You've got some Sunderland going up as well will be interesting. Down the other side of it, I think it's going to be a bit more a congested division. And it's going to be very, very difficult. Look, any team that goes down should be going straight back up. Because not only do you go down with a squad that's got a lot of Premier League players in, you also are able to strengthen. So Norwich should back bounce. But it's not as simple as that. And actually, in terms of this sort of yo-yoing that they've done, that might kind of, hurt their energy a little bit. So I'd have to look at it when we get that little bit closer. Maestro D, my guy. Thanks this season, James. I must ask what you think the league will be like next season in terms of competitiveness and surprises. So I did a video, obviously, on Mbappe and the money and the fact that the ceiling is just getting higher and higher and higher. That always concerns me. But what I would say is that I think the Premier League, because of the amount of money that the league itself has, it is able to combat that little bit more, even though you have the extortionate amounts that the top teams spend and then the rest. But I do think this is an incredibly competitive league. Let me show you. Very, very competitive league with teams that generally recruit quite cleverly. They get their squad size and age of that squad sorted out pretty well. And actually a lot of teams that are kind of on the up. Crystal Palace, Wolves overall, I'd probably say. Brighton certainly. I think Leicester have recovered a little bit and can be better than that. West Ham have had a very strong season, can beat anyone and have done so. Villa should be doing more. So the middle of the table is stronger than ever, if that makes sense. What is a bit of a problem is that as the ceiling gets higher and higher and higher, the teams that come up, it gets harder and harder for them. But again, that said, Fulham and Bournemouth are bounce-back teams, yo-yo sides. And I think that Fulham team will have its best chance. I think that Bournemouth team is probably better than you maybe give it credit for as well. So I think next year will be incredibly competitive. And I'm intrigued to see how Man City and Liverpool kind of cope after this season, because it's just been intense. So intense. So hopefully it continues to be super competitive, because I think it's just so important. Lee Smith with a super chat. Thank you very much, my friend. I think there was one right at the start of the stream from Ollie. Ollie, love you, mate. Thank you so much for that. And thank you everyone for watching throughout the season. Look, we're going to have a really good summer. I've got loads of content ready to go. But the support that you show, guys, in terms of like watching and doing all the stuff that I ask you. I know it's annoying when I say like the stream and all that shite, but it kind of have to do it because it helps me try and get where I want to be in life. And so you guys have changed my life completely. So I just want to say thank you for just spending a bit of time with me every time I put up a video, and hopefully we can do this for a long, long time. Where are we? Lee Smith, thank you, mate, for that. Adam Turner, frustrated West Ham United. I think the traditional top six will secure top six next season pretty easily. Feels like the last chance for a while to sneak in the top six and Europa League. Maybe. You might be right with that. I don't know. I think Leicester can do better. I do think Leicester could do better, but they need to find a striker that's outrageously good. Again, watch that video on the price per point. Sorry, that is the problem. Is that there's just a gap from those top 4 or 5, and the Spurs aren't even in that just yet. So it looks like they might spend a lot of money this summer, and then the next set, and then the next set. So I think that is often the case. But I mean, look, this has been occurring and getting worse and worse for a long time, and we do. The focus is often on those guys. So. What do you expect? Sadly, this needs to be solved by not the clubs, but by the governing bodies, and until they do that, nothing will change. Nothing will change. Where are we? Last super chat before I go. Guha, as always, love the content. Happy for top 4 and Sun Golden Boot. Can't wait for Champions League and Flav's message. Here we go. Right, I'll do it. Oh yeah, we will end the stream on this. Come on, you Spurs, keep at it, James. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. Everton down next season. I think it's going to be difficult for them. But again, it's just about getting over the line for Everton, which they did. Absolute legends. Right, here we go. See what Flav's got to say. And then we will say goodbye. As I say, one last time, thank you so much for watching. I'll be live tomorrow, so make sure you're following me on Twitter and you won't miss out on that. And I'm going to be doing all sorts of scouting stuff and reacting to my horrific predictions. We're doing that as well. Right, here we go.
Well, Arsenal beat Everton 5-1. Did that? Do you know what? I wasn't even interested in the Arsenal score because it didn't matter. It didn't matter what they were going to do. Because the minute Spurs turned up at Carrow Road, we were going to roll Norwich over. Absolutely, just swept them aside. Not only that, Huminson, Golden Boot. Like how is he in the Writers' Player of the Year? How was he not even considered? Conor Gallagher was considered ahead of him. Foden considered ahead of him. And he is the Golden Boot holder in the Premier League, and yet his name isn't even mentioned. Racist, probably. I don't know, but that's how I like to say it. So Tottenham Hotspur are in the Champions League, and I did say to you...
You can hear Centre Parks in the background.
I did say there were many twists to this tale before the North London derby. I did say that, didn't I? And so it has become. So Tottenham Hotspur are in the Champions League next year, and honestly, when we got Conte... It was never in doubt, really. It was never in doubt. The guy is something else. We have to keep him. He has to stay. There's £80 million coming into the club that wouldn't have been there if we hadn't won today. And so Spurs are on the march once again. And I've got to say, actually, Jim, how many times have Arsenal finished above Spurs in the last 7 years? None. None is the answer.